I'm Angeline Saris, and you're watching for bassplayersonly.com.
Hi everyone, John Liebman here. You're watching for bassplayersonly.com. Today we are here with the one and only Angeline Saris. How you doing, Angeline?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, good. You know, I was just watching the interview we did at NAMM a couple of years ago, and you are always doing something cool. You're always very busy, and that's why I thought it would be appropriate to bring everybody up to date on what you've been up to and what's been keeping you busy. So, what's happening?
Well, I've had a pretty busy year. I feel like I get home for about 2 or 3 days and do 4 loads of laundry and then pack again.
There you go.
But I think
Home from where?
mostly U.S. stuff this year. So I was out on the East Coast, was up in Vancouver, a lot of Pacific Northwest touring with a bunch of different bands and stuff.
Such as?
Well, I just finished a couple weeks out with Ernest Ranglin.
Ska, reggae.
Jamaican favorite. Just amazing. He's such a amazing player and a wonderful person. It was like one of the best tours I've ever been on. So
He's been around quite a while.
he is 83 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, so quite a bit. So I'm doing that. Been out with Narda, Michael Walden a little bit, and we have a lot more of that coming next year. And then been out a ton with Zepparella, which has been a lot of fun.
That's your Led Zeppelin tribute band.
That's my all-female Led Zeppelin tribute band. Yeah.
You know, that cuts across a pretty wide genre of styles. And I was just listening to you, wondering how you might apply different techniques. Would you play a different technique for the reggae and ska than you would with Zepparella, than you would with Narada Michael Walden?
Absolutely. Yeah. With the reggae band, I tend to play on like right up on the fretboard instead of, on the bridge or even on the pickups. I tend to kind of go between the front pickup and having my thumb around the last fret, and that gets kind of a much deeper, full sound. And
I don't know, excuse me, I don't know, I was imagining a palm muting thumb kind of thing for the reggae. Do you do that as well?
yeah, I do sometimes. Sometimes, I'm kind of switching a lot. I feel like it just depends on what Ernie's playing, what other people are playing, whether I want the tone to ring out or whether I want it to be more muted and kind of funky like that. If that's a word, funky.
It is now.
It is now.
You heard it here first.
Urban Dictionary, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then of course maybe put some flat wounds on or some thicker gauge strings on the bass, and instead of using, maybe a J-styled bass, I'd use a P bass, or maybe last year I think I took out one with double humbuckers, but I felt like it wasn't exactly the sound I was going for, but something bigger. You get the point. Yeah.
All right. And you've got another cool project you were telling me about, the show and tell. Why don't you elaborate on that a little bit for us?
Yeah, I'm still kind of mapping it out in my brain, but I think I'm going to start launching it sometime in the next few weeks. And it's basically a way to release material that is in the process of being created. And I think, so maybe like rehearsal material with Narda Michael Walden. We have one piece that I think is fun. We might never do anything with it. It might never see the light of day. And so I was like, how sad is that I have this huge library in iTunes of all these rehearsals and music that nobody will ever see. So I read this book called Show and Tell I can't remember who wrote it. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool to start a series where I actually start releasing that material, just little tidbits of it, for people to check out.
Well, you're right. Most people don't get to see the behind-the-scenes stuff, so I think there would be a lot of interest in that. That sounds cool. Last time you were talking about a solo project that you were hoping to do. Anything happening there?
It's slow coming because I've been traveling so much, but I'm always writing, and I've been doing a duo project. Right now we're calling it Angelec's, and it's just drum and bass. It's kind of a little dubby, I want to say. There's some dubstep kind of qualities to it, but it's all over the map. And yeah, it's just 2 people. It's we're still writing, and I'll probably release some of that in the show and tell and starting to record. So
Okay, in a perfect world, when would you expect to see the finished product hit the streets?
I would expect to release a single for that, probably, or maybe an EP, probably just singles by the end of the year.
Okay, by the end of 2015.
That's right.
Okay, we will watch for that. You mentioned J-Bass, P-Bass. Tell me a little bit more about your equipment. I seem to remember you had a Sadowski in your arsenal. What else have you got?
Yeah.
What do you travel with, first of all?
Well, I travel with whatever bass is required for the gig, so I was in Mexico City earlier this year, and I brought my mono double gig bag, and I had my Sadowski 5 NYC and a Fender Jazz in there, because that's what the gig called for, but it just depends. So I have that. I have the Sadowski. I have Fender Jazz, a Fender P, a Fender Fretless, and then I have a Marlowe soprano bass, which I love. I've been doing a lot of kind of chordal writing on that recently. I have a Clevenger electric upright.
That's right. You've got a jazz thing. I remember you were telling me some of your influences. You mentioned Ron Carter, and you mentioned Mingus and Ray Brown. I forgot that about you. That's makes for a well-rounded musical background.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, well, I grew up playing in the jazz band in high school, and that was my first love, and still is one of my great loves. So.
How about strings? I know you're a big fan of GHS.
That I am. Yeah.
Why?
The boomers. Well, versatility. It's like I tend to put the boomers on most of my basses, and then maybe flat wounds on some of them. I also have. Oh gosh, I'm blanking on the name right now. Okay. I'm having an early senility moment here.
Well, if it comes to you, let me know. Most of the projects that you mentioned now seem to have been in the works for at least a little while. Do you have some other things that, beyond what you currently have on your plate, that I've always wanted to, or someday I will? Is there anything on that list that you'd really like to tackle?
The list has changed a lot this year. I don't know, something changed a little bit for me, and I think the priority became not like, I want to play with this person and do this, and it became more about learning. I just want to get back into spending time by myself practicing, because I miss that. I think I travel so much that I feel like I don't get that as much as I used to. So I want to shed a bunch of Rocco Prestia. I want Tower of Power's on the top list, but just for me, I just want to have that under my belt in a way that I don't.
Growing up in the Bay Area, that's just naturally in your blood, right?
Yeah. And Larry Graham, keep going down that route because I'm a huge Larry fan.
Jack Cassidy.
Yeah. Hot Tuna, totally. And then Prince, he's releasing a bunch of new stuff, but the one that he just did last year, he did a dual album, but there's just great playing and a bunch of old stuff there. And Paul Jackson is high on the list, all the Herbie stuff. So those are kind of there, but it's really just about the process right now for me.
Well, whatever it is, I know it's going to be great. So you be sure to keep us posted on all that stuff, the current stuff and the future stuff. Angeline Saris, great catching up with you, and look forward to doing this again, hopefully in the not-too-distant future.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. It's really nice to sit here and talk to you and hang out again.
Always a pleasure. With Angeline Saris, I am John Liebman. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com.